Altogether, those tickets would have been $19,872, right? What I paid out of pocket was $230.02. And so I paid the fees of $22.40 going to Japan, and the fees coming back was a little bit more expensive, which was $207.62. And so I don't feel deprived at all. I feel excited because if I would not have been intentional and just did some research, there is no way on God's green earth I'm paying $20,000 for plane tickets. But I'm paying $230.02 all day and twice on Sunday.
Everyday people working 9 to 5, saving up that money, trying to survive, investing in the future, trying to be wise. We're gonna be money heroes. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Nick Johnson, host of Everyday Money Heroes, and I've reached early retirement. I'm here to provide information on how to obtain financial independence and inspire you through sharing stories of everyday people who are turning knowledge into freedom.
That hustle, always reaching for the sky. We're gonna be money heroes, never gonna shy.
Hello and welcome to Everyday Money Heroes. We provide information and inspiration to people of all ages to take control of their financial journey. I'm your host, Nick Johnson, and today we're going to talk about how I used points to secure 4 round-trip tickets to Japan for my family for $230.02. Once again, I'll repeat that. I'm going to share with you on the approach that I used to secure 4 round-trip tickets for my family to Japan from the East Coast for $230.02. Before I get into that, I'm going to just ask that if this is interesting to you, that you would just hit the like button, that you'll subscribe to Everyday Money Heroes, and that you'll share it with a friend or a family member. Also, if you are listening to this by way of podcast, that you will follow us on your podcast platform of choice. With that being said, this is just a little snippet of a larger video I'm going to do. I'm going to do a full recap with my wife in a couple weeks about this, but I want to share this because the last piece of this actually fell into play, actually why I was here in Japan. Okay, so let's talk about it. You know that here at Everyday Money Heroes, we believe in not going without, but it's being very intentional in what we do. And so with that being said, my 2 youngest are really into Japanese culture, anime. And so for Christmas, what we decided to do, instead of giving them toys, we decided that we were going to give them a trip to Japan during the summer. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to lay out how we managed to do that. And so whenever you go on any type of trip, the 2 big things that you have to deal with is how to get there and where you're going to stay once you're there. And once you get those 2 pieces taken care of, everything else can fall into place. So I knew that it would be a challenge getting from the East Coast, because we're in Florida, all the way over to Japan, but it was a challenge I was up for. And so what happened is that literally this was almost 2 years in the making, because we actually started signing up for credit cards last year that we used this year. And so one of the things I want to always reiterate, whenever you're in this points game, that you want to make sure, for one, that you are paying off your credit card balances in full at the end of the month. Other thing you want to make sure is that you don't have any major purchases that you need to make that are dependent upon your credit. So for instance, that you're not trying to get a mortgage or a car loan, anything like that, because those things can impact your credit score. And also, as you get these credit cards, you want to make sure that you are not going out of the way to spend money. So what I'm saying, going out of the way to spend money, I only get credit cards around particular times when I know that I'm going to have a lot of spending coming up. In my instance, we don't escrow our property tax and insurance. I did a whole video about that. I'll link to it down in the description. And part of the reason why we don't escrow our property tax and insurance, because for all of our rentals, we pay the property insurance out of pocket. And so that allows us to meet the minimum spend on the credit cards that we get. And so I know everyone won't be in that particular situation. That's real easy for us. All of our property insurances kind of fall around the same time frame, like April, May-ish time frame. So beginning of the year, we just go ahead. I look at the best offers that's going on. I go ahead, I apply for the credit cards. I know that I'm going to have to meet that minimum spend. I literally just go ahead and I pay for my property insurance using those credit cards. Okay, so that's how we do it. And so another thing that happens is that I have a P2. For those who may not know what a P2 is, a P2 can be a spouse or just a travel mate that you have that you often go ahead and you take trips with. And so what happened is that I applied for Chase card last year. Also, I applied for the Chase Business Inc. card last year. My wife applied for the Business Inc. also. And so what I did is that for my Business Inc., I sent her my referral code. So she applied for it. She got the card there. So she got the bonus. And also I got a referral bonus as well. So that's how we started working that out. So all those things were in motion. We went ahead, we hit the points up. This year, a new card that I got was the Citi Strata card, the Citi Strata Elite. And so what happens is that they had a promotion going on where if you met the minimum spend, that you get 120,000 points. And I had already did research, and I knew that I could get a one-way ticket from Jacksonville, Florida to Japan for like 35,000. So I was like, that's almost enough to cover all of our tickets to get you to Japan. So that was cool. So I was like, okay, we can get there. And what I need to do is figure out how we could get back, because we didn't want to get stuck in Japan. Kind of important to get back. And so what we did, we went ahead, we met the minimum spend. We were able to get 4 economy tickets. Those 4 economy tickets cost us 35,000 points apiece. So those points were 140,000 points. That's what it took us. So usually whenever you pay for a flight with points, there's usually some type of fees, whatever. Those fees were very low. So for every one of those tickets, I only had to pay $5.60 a ticket. So all in all, out of pocket, what I spent for those 4 tickets was $22.40. That's all I spent. And so that flight was an international flight. So even though it was economy, they do still do things for you, like, you get a meal and stuff like that. So it's not first class, but it's still great. Also, one of the things is that, we're traveling with our kids. And so I can tell you what we're not going to do. We're not paying for 4 first class tickets for our kids to go. No. At this particular point, we have to do quantity and not quality. Once it gets to the point where it's just me and my wife, we might start looking at some things then, but we have to look at the way things fall and if it works. You actually see on the return trip, some things actually fell our way that was really good. So we went ahead, we did that. And so what happened is that we were able to go ahead and get our flights there. So at that particular point, we were able to kind of start structuring our trip a little bit as far as what we want to do. And so we went ahead and we did that. Oh, by the way, I would share the link for the Citi Strata Elite card, but apparently Citi doesn't do like referral links. So I don't have it down there, but I'm sure you can Google it if that's a card that you're interested in getting. I don't know what current promotions they have going on right now, but I find the Citi card right now to be pretty beneficial. One of the big things that I did enjoy about it is that whenever you get the Citi Strata Elite card, they give you 4 Admiral Lounge passes. And so what we're able to do is we're able to use those Admiral passes since we're on an American flight. So keep in mind that only way that you can use the Admiral passes is that you're on an American flight. So we couldn't have booked a Delta flight and go to an American Admiral Lounge and say, hey, I want to get in because I got these passes. You have to actually be on a flight using American Airlines to be able to go and get into those lounges. And so we're able to use it. Even though we do have the priority pass, being able to go into the Admiral Lounge is great. One of the big things about Admiral Lounge, apparently, unlike priority pass, where they only let you in 3 hours before your flight, if you have a really long layover, the Admiral Lounge will let you in as long as you have a pass that day. Also, once you activate it, it's good for 24 hours. So on our flight, we went from Jacksonville to DFW to LA to Japan. But at each one of those stops, we were actually able to go into the Admiral Lounge. It just so happened that there was an Admiral Lounge in LAX, and there was one in DFW. We were able to go there. Also, if your kids are traveling with you under the age of 18, they can get in for free. So we technically only had to use 2 of the passes, so we have 2 of the passes left, which is good. So we got here. On the way, so once we got here, we need to get back. And so I'm not one who's going to just get a one-way ticket and try to figure it out once we get there. I needed to have something to come back. So I had been watching the points. Okay, and let's talk about how I identify prices for points. A tool that I really enjoy is PointsYeah. That's it. PointsYeah.com is the site. And I have been watching the return flights, trying to figure out, kind of what the general idea was. And I still had some points left over from Chase and some stuff like that. And I had been tracking it, and it seemed like there had been tickets from Japan to Jacksonville around 100,000 points apiece. I did not want to pay $100,000 points, but I was like, okay, well, if that's what it is, it's what it is. And I had been tracking it, and it would kind of fluctuate a little bit. It was around 100,000. Then one glorious day, this is before we left, I got an alert from PointsYeah that a United flight was 65,000 points. And I was like, okay, I got 200,000 already in Chase, and I can just transfer it over. And so what happens is that I jump in, and I'm like, okay, this is going to work. The date's going to work. Everything will be good. So I jump in. I transfer the points over from Chase over to United, and I secure the flight. And the thing about it is that this wasn't even an economy flight. This was a Premier, like Premier Plus, which is like right up under first class. And what was weird is that seat was actually less than the economy seat, but it's a better seat. And so I went and I transferred over the points for it. So it was good there. So, but I only had enough points to get my ticket and the 2 kids. My wife had enough points in her account to cover hers. So I went ahead and locked in. I got the 3 tickets. I had to set my wife up because my wife didn't have a United account. So I had to go. And a lot of times my wife's like, hey, she's like, just let me know what happens at the end. My wife lets me do all the things. And so I go there, I'm trying to set up everything for her. And I go and I try to transfer the points over, and it will not transfer the points over. And I keep trying it, and it's like, please contact Chase. I'm like, what's the deal? Then I got to ask my wife. I'm like, hey, man, you got to call Chase because it's not going to work. So needless to say, by the time all this stuff happened, that rate was over. That rate went from 65,000 points back up to some ridiculous number. And so, okay, I was like, we at least got 3 tickets. I did see where there had been, as I said before, economy tickets for 100,000 points. So I was like, worst case scenario, I'll just go ahead and I'll just get this 100,000 economy seat. I will sit back in economy, and I'll get the 3 tickets to, my family to sit up in the Premier Plus. Some days were going by. I wasn't getting warm and fuzzies. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do it. So what happened is that I realized the reason why my wife's points wouldn't transfer over is because the name on her United account wasn't exactly the same as it was on her credit card. So when I was trying to move the points over, it wouldn't do it. And so technically what ended up happening is we ended up having to create another account that was perfectly a match for the name on the credit card, and then the points would transfer over. So I transferred the points over, but at this point, it's still 100,000. This one seat is not sitting with the family. And actually what happened is I transferred it over, and it was saying 100,000, and we're getting closer and closer for its time to come back for this trip. And the points are going in the wrong direction. The seat goes from 100,000 points to 120,000 points. I'm like, wow. Okay. I was like, and so I'm not getting real concerned. It's only 2 economy seats left. So I was like, some people are willing to fly separately from their families. I'm not doing that. I was like, I'll sit away from them on the same plane, but I'm not having a split up on different flights. We're not doing that. And so it got up to 120,000 points. And I'm like, I just got to go ahead and bite the bullet. So I went ahead, transferred all the points already. What happened is that I bought the difference in points. When I bought the difference in points, they had a promotion going on where I think they were you get 80 percent more points when you do it. So I went and bought the additional to hit the it's called like 120,000 points. So I bought the additional points. But what I didn't know is that there was like a 24-hour period or something like that, 24, 40-hour period before the actual points would show up in your account to use. So as we sat there, the price of that ticket actually went up some more. So it went from like 120,000 points to 122.5. And so at that particular point, once they finally credited the points over, I was like, you know what? I was like, we're going to just pay for the difference. So we went ahead. I bought the economy ticket for 122,000 miles. I think we paid like, I don't know, $200-$300 for the extra points we need to. But needs to say, we had our return flight, so I was happy. And so we were here in Japan. We're in Japan right now. And something told me to reprice it. Go back and look and see if there's just a possibility that either that economy seat, the price went down, or maybe that economy ticket, that Premier Plus, like I had for the other 3 tickets, maybe it had dropped down. And I went and I looked at it, and lo and behold, it had dropped to 58,000 points. Now, 58,000 points was not the economy seat, it was the Premier seat. So what I was able to do while here in Japan, in the seat beside the rest of my family was still open. So I was able to go change the flight inside the app. I said, hey, I want to go, and I picked this seat. So what happened is that they actually redeposited 70-ish thousand points into the United account. And I don't know if I said this or not, but that I had other tickets for 65,000. This one was 58,000. So I got this particular flight for less than I did the other 3. So I got for 58,000 points. I got 70-ish thousand points deposited to the account. We're all sitting together, and we're good to go. And so why do I share all this? First of all, you should always reprice your flights when you're paying with points. You never know, something might go down. The downside, if there is a downside, is that those 70,000 points are now within United. I can't move them outside of United. Versus if I would have been fortunate enough just to get those 58,000, could have kept them in Chase, and I could have used them to move around to other loyalty programs, but wasn't able to do that. But I was able to do it. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to run the numbers. As far as if I would have paid out of pocket for these tickets, the 4 one-way tickets on American and the 4 one-way tickets on United back. The American flights were economy tickets. The tickets back on United were Premier Plus tickets. Altogether, those tickets would have been $19,872, right? What I paid out of pocket was $230.02. And so I paid the fees of $22.40 going to Japan, and the fees coming back was a little bit more expensive, which was $207.62. And so I don't feel deprived at all. I feel excited because if I would not have been intentional and just did some research, there is no way on God's green earth I'm paying $20,000 for plane tickets. I'm paying $230.02 all day and twice on Sunday. And so that's why I tell people all the time, knowledge is extremely important. Trust the process, and you can do what you want to do. So now people see like, it must be nice to do this. I was like, it's nice, but what we're doing is attainable for anybody. There isn't a lot of people out there. Now, granted, we had to do it during the summer because our kids were still in school. But there probably aren't. There's a lot of people out there who are able to take 2 weeks off if they can get a flight for $230.02 to go to Japan. And we're not talking about from the West Coast. We're talking about from Florida. So we covered a lot of ground. And that's why I want to share this with you. So I'm going to do a huge breakdown in the process as far as how I did it, as far as like the whole trip in its totality. I wanted to do it the trip we did last year during the summer to Europe, but didn't do it. But really know that, there are ways for us to achieve what we want to do, be intentional, and not spend a whole lot of money. And this is just it. So right now I am in the Intercontinental in downtown Tokyo. I'm also going to share how I'm staying here for literally pennies on the dollar. This is a 5-star hotel. and I'm not paying 5-star prices. I'll let you know right now. So that being said, let me know down in the comments if you're doing any travel hacking, if you understand it. If you have any questions about what I did and how I did it, we can really go into the weeds on it. But I just really want you all to see how I was able to get $20,000 worth of flights for literally $230. And so this is just not something I can do. If you hear people talk about it, you really can't do it. I'm a testimony. I'm going to put some screenshots in along the way here of some of the things that I did in the app, so you guys just see the numbers. So that being said, I'm your host, Nick Johnson, and I'm going to remind you to trust the process.